Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making millions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 U.S.-based fraud support. Other companies might just sell credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/hidden. Protect yourself now at aura.com/hidden.
Still waiting in line? Again? That's time you'll never get back. Save time and money with Stamps.com. Over 4 million businesses have skipped the line with Stamps.com. Join them to save up to 90% off carrier rates from your computer or phone right now. Print postage for certified mail, registered mail, and packages in seconds. Then schedule a pickup right from your home or office. For a limited time, go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST for a free welcome gift. Taxes and fees apply.
If you've ever been told everything looks normal, but still don't feel yourself, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast, where we're changing the face of healthcare so you can understand your body and take your health back. Because the truth is, most people are left managing symptoms without ever being told why their body is struggling in the first place.
Here, we take a root cause, whole body approach, connecting your physical, emotional, and spiritual health so you can finally start moving forward. And most importantly, we point you to the one and only true healer, Jesus. Hello, I'm Kari, Coody, your co-host. I'm a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner, and after 20 years in the traditional healthcare system, I saw firsthand just how many people were left without real answers, and I knew there had to be a better way.
Oh, hey, I'm Jenn, Patriarca. God gave me a desire to help others through natural healing many years ago. And after more than 20 years in functional nutrition, he brought Kari and I together for this mission. A mission to help you understand your body, trust what it's telling you, and give you the tools and confidence to take your health back.
Through these conversations, you can expect simple, straightforward guidance on real health topics, along with practical steps that support your body, your mind, and your faith. Because healing isn't just physical, and it doesn't have to feel so overwhelming. We're really glad that you're here, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every Monday. Welcome back into the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast. Kari here with my co-host Jenn, and we have Hannah with us today. We're excited to just chat about a topic that we touched on in the last episode. If you listen to that, we're talking about minerals, and so we're going to keep that conversation going, just talking about the hair mineral tissue analysis tests and then a custom mineral blend that we've been using some. So we're excited about this topic, and as always, we really love to come into these conversations just with more information, just to help you maybe think differently about your health and healing, and just to help you get to the root of what's going on in your health in general. So we love talking about minerals, so we're just going to keep doing it. Right?
Yes. This is something I think that we are all passionate about. Hannah has sort of taken the lead in our practice on the HTMA and hair analysis and Vicon. And so we're just really excited that she's here and can just, add her expertise and kind of explain some things that, because a lot of people, they're not as familiar with HTMA or might not be familiar at all with hair analysis. And so we just want to, kind of, it coattails on our, if you haven't heard our podcast on minerals, go back and listen to that first. But this is something that, we really just saw a trend with in our practice. And because we saw and know that minerals really facilitate and are kind of the spark plugs for so many enzymatic reactions in the body. And really nothing can happen without them because they literally get nutrients in and out of the cell across the cell membrane. And so we just maybe first want to start by talking like how hair is different than blood, because I think, we all agree we use both in practice. We look at them both. They tell us different things. Blood is really good in a lot of ways, but the body always keeps the blood homeostatic, meaning it's always keeping it in balance. And so it's really hard to get optimal mineral or heavy metal levels because unless there's acute exposure, because mineral levels can sometimes be lower in the blood, or the detection of the trace minerals might be a little bit more difficult. And so, yeah, especially for toxic metals, they're usually found in the tissue, especially the hair. Okay, again, unless there's acute exposure. So, while blood is good, it tells us a little bit different things. Blood minerals are generally maintained at the expense of the mineral. So in the blood, they might look okay, which we see a lot of times, and in the hair, not so okay. So we try not to compare blood and hair because they're two different things. Hair really gives us more insight into long-term mineral patterns and how the body has been responding over the long term. So hair is different in that we look at a couple things. One is metabolic rate, which Hannah's going to talk about, because that's really how we base how we support you using our custom mineral blend, which we're going to talk about, called Vicon. So we'll look at metabolic rate in the HTMA. We'll look at stress levels and the stages of stress where you're at, whether it's the initial acute phase, whether you're in more of the exhaustion phase, and we'll talk about that in a second. It specifically tells us about adrenal and thyroid activity. So, how your adrenals are responding, how your thyroid's responding, carbohydrate tolerance, so we can look at glucose, energy levels, if you're eating enough protein with your phosphorus levels, if you're digesting and breaking down the protein, and then, a possibility if you're trending toward anything based on those metabolic rates or how the thyroid, adrenal, or the immune system is responding. And also personality personality tendencies. You can sort of see, and Hannah's going to talk about a calcium shell, how your, emotional expression might be blunted with the calcium shell, and other things. You might be more defensive, I should say. So we can tell certain things based on these mineral patterns, and it just really has helped us. And I think for the majority of people, really focus more on the root cause and stop chasing symptoms. So, yeah. Hannah, do you want to sort of, I don't know if, I'm trying to think like how we can sort of transition into some of the patterns that we kept seeing over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, I can speak to like how for those of us who have been on a healing or health journey for a really long time, I think minerals, in talking about the HTMA, can be a real source of freedom for a lot of people when they see their HTMA test, because you're doing all these right things for so long, but maybe after a parasite cleanse or detoxing, you really aren't bouncing back the way maybe you thought you would, or aren't having all the energy you thought you would. And it's not that those things didn't necessarily help. It's just, I think, at the rate in which we're exposed to so many toxins that are out of our control, and, living a fulfilled life, which comes with stressors, and learning how to regulate our nervous system and all the things, we just really need that reinforcement that I think having this new partnership with Vicon, I guess you could say, has helped, I think, a lot of us accomplish, is just getting that reinforcement, And so, yeah, I'd love to talk about the metabolic types. There are two primarily that people fall into, two categories. And this is kind of what determines the base, if someone wants to move forward with Vicon, the base of their formula. because the nutrients in it are specific for that metabolic pattern. So the first one is the slow oxidation pattern, a slow oxidizer. Now, 80% of people are slow oxidizers. Your oxidation rate goes down as you age, which makes sense. And this really tells us, okay, the thyroid and the adrenals aren't operating or functioning that well, not efficiently. And so the body is burning through food at a very slow rate, a slower rate than we want to see. It's classified as being in a consistent state of rest and digest, but we've also seen that some people can be in fight or flight and also be slow oxidizers. So you can have both. But across the board, you have a tendency of not having a balanced amount of minerals, and the body is putting a lot of energy towards adapting and compensating for the lack of minerals due to stressors, whether that's chemical stressors, emotional stressors, or physical stressors. So we do see an association with copper toxicity and other heavy metal toxicity, which is a huge contributor to someone becoming a slow oxidizer because that's so suppressive to the immune system and all the other organs we're working with. This also reflects someone battling a chronic condition. Typically, they've been battling, whether it's a long-term gut condition or thyroid condition. We're not going to see this person battling necessarily acute symptoms. They've been struggling with something for a while. So, which makes sense. And some typical tendencies we see with slow oxidizers, not everyone has it, but it's just across the board. Usually they do. They sweat less, dry skin and hair, constipation, fatigue, depression, apathy, low blood pressure, adrenal insufficiency, low blood sugar, chronic allergies, histamine intolerance, sometimes weight gain on the hips and legs due to underactive thyroid, weight gain due to low blood sugar and sugar cravings. And then some personality tendencies can be more withdrawn and introverted, less emotionally expressive, tendencies towards depression, fear, worries, someone who does chronically worry, slow thinker, frustrated and despaired, desire to control. Now, what's neat is when someone starts to rebalance their minerals, you may still be a slow oxidizer and not necessarily struggle with all of these. So it's not to say, you check all the boxes with all of these things, but it does bring awareness to why you may be battling some of these symptoms, and it could just be a lack of nutrients. So next is a fast oxidizer, which is typically most seen in children because their metabolism is skyrocketing, they're growing, their brains are growing, their bones are growing, and so they're burning through everything so fast. Now, when we see a child that's not a fast oxidizer, that's concerning and which we have seen before, because they are burning so quickly through their mineral reserve that now they don't have enough to compensate for whatever they're battling. And that's when we start to see, very problematic symptoms. So this is typically when the thyroid and adrenal ratios reveal excessive activity and the body is burning through food at a more rapid rate. Now, while it's common amongst children to have this, we do want to be careful because we want to help assist the body. Because again, if you're at a high for too long, you can really burn through things quickly. So having, I think, the Vicon mineral blend really helps to balance out the slow ox and the fast ox so that you do reach a more equilibrium between the two and become more resilient to stress. Any thoughts on that, you guys?
No, I just was going to say we rarely see that in adults, although adults can have fast ox, but oxidation, it's just, most people, like you said, 80% we always see are either slow ox or where you're going to talk about next, which is the 4 low.
Yes. Next we have the 4 lows. Now, I would say this is more of a abnormality we see. And I think sheds a lot of light to those who are battling symptoms that are really hard to get through no matter what we use. So it's when the main four are very, very depleted, like at a very low level. So that's your magnesium, calcium, sodium, and potassium. And we want to come in there right away and address these four lows because it is so important to bring those up. And when we start to see those levels rise, everything else starts to balance out. But it's huge. It's so huge. These people usually feel pretty miserable, and we really want to come in and help them. So, usually when someone has four lows, they are battling copper toxicity, which I feel like could be a whole nother podcast in and of itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
What that is.
Yes.
But it's another intricacy to HTMAs that really do affect, and this is another reason why we love the blood alongside the HTMAs, is because it creates a clear picture of how someone is utilizing iron and copper. And man, that could be I'm not even going to go into that, but
that's another rabbit hole. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there is copper imbalance in a lot of the people that we see. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And it affects hormones and a host of other things for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so going off of the four lows, continuing on that, you can typically tell they do have a tendency to display some similar traits alongside each other. So sometimes they have lifestyle cave-in, feeling overwhelmed, becoming ill or disabled, or large stress like a divorce or job loss that can push someone into a four lows just because it's so devastating. And then chronic nutritional depletion. So if you've been on chronic diets, under eating, vegan, vegetarianism, raw food maybe, or excessive intake of processed foods, that can deplete your mineral reserve fairly quickly. Excessive stress, we see this a lot. Those who are working a lot of hours throughout the week and not having kind of a balanced lifestyle of rest, and that can push someone into a four lows. Excessive sugar or caffeine intake. This is huge. Blood sugar regulation. I feel like this goes on almost everyone's protocol because
For sure.
it really is so depleting to the body to be in a constant state of unbalanced blood sugar. And so nervous system is like just gone when we live in that.
Yeah.
Which is why we see, I think, a lot of what we see, right? I mean, the excessive sugar, caffeine with Starbucks. I mean, it's real. The struggle is real.
Yes. Or empty stomach. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, I feel like we still continue to see this quite a bit. It's just empty stomach, coffee, and then go work out. And then
and then our faces are like, when we
know.
see this or we hear this, right? It's just like, oh, no, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
Feel it. Yeah. You just,
yes.
So, and then a last explanation for why someone can be in the four lows is malabsorption. So they're just not absorbing nutrients from food due to maybe long-term gut issues. That can be very stressful to the body. And then the last abnormality that I think we see the most common, I feel like we're seeing a rise in it, is the calcium shell. This is one on the HTMA. Each mineral has its own section that it measures, and the calcium section, you'll just see that bar like pretty much off the charts. And it's very interesting how it works. So the calcium quite literally creates a protective wall around the cell, and it numbs and protects the cell from excess stress. Well, the problem with that is nutrients can't go in and out of the cell, especially thyroid nutrients. And so it can be very problematic. And the only way to really break that shell is through providing the body with cofactors of calcium to be properly absorbed in the bloodstream and not sequestered in the tissues. So for people with calcium shells, Vicon is truly a lifesaver. And because they provide those cofactors to break up that calcium shell, so nutrients can transport much better. So one more note on this too. The calcium stabilizes the cell membrane, so high tissue calcium reduces also the efficiency for hormones to go in and out of the cell, which is huge. People with calcium shells typically have psychological withdrawal, chronic defensiveness, and some level of detachment from reality. So it's something where and it's another major red flag we see where it's like, okay, we need to start here before we even think about, detoxing or parasites or anything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like if they want to heal, right, you need capacity. And so all of these patterns are showing that some level of capacity is not there to really do what the body is trying to do, in essence,
Yeah.
And that's why we preach on foundations all the time. It's if your body doesn't have what it needs, it's not going to do what we want it to do.
Right.
Or needs to do.
Which, leads us in, this is part of the reason, obviously we're using hair analysis, but part of the reason that we started using something called Vicon, which we'll have Hannah talk about, is that, because healing requires so much capacity, right? We sort of had a shift in that. We needed to really go back to the foundation and rebuild so that the body had the materials to actually, and therefore capacity, the materials being minerals, nutrients, and therefore the capacity to heal. Because without that, the body can't rebuild. And it's tired. It might have some of those, if we're supplementing, it might have some of those materials, but it doesn't have the cellular energy, adrenal thyroid wise, to do what it needs to do. And so, progress would stall or slow. And we realized the amount of supplements too was also a barrier, just financially and compliance wise, right? Like taking a lot of supplements. So which made Vicon, which are the custom mineral blends, a really good fit, especially for our more acute cases, which we see a lot of in practice, because Vicon offers that ability to tailor to their specific metabolic type, put the add-ons in to address the calcium shell, like Hannah said, which are really, really important. And we could address foundationally the patterns that we're seeing. So, Hannah, we mentioned that Vicon obviously is a custom blend, but there are some bases that we use based on the oxidative stress, obviously, so that we can tailor this for their, energy and metabolic type. And then, of course, adding, any add-ons. But do you want to just talk about a little bit, just about, our experience in practice with Vicon and, your thoughts just coming, more from the HTMA world?
Yeah, well, I would say at first, I feel like we were all a little skeptical because, in a perfect world, I feel like we would want standard process to make Vicon.
Yes,
or
we
some
would.
sort of, yes, where it was like, oh, yeah, we just love that line so much. So it was kind of a shock and an adjustment, I think, for us at first to realize, okay, these aren't necessarily, they're what? Like they're minerals and vitamins from synthetic sources, right? But when we got on the phone with the owner, she really went into depth of the sourcing of this and like why you can't necessarily, when we're introducing such high doses of minerals, the downside, if you were to use whole food, is you really have a heavy metal count attached to it. And we're trying to avoid that. And so it's really neat. You can look on their website. They're third-party tested. They have so much credentialing when it comes to sourcing and creating their blends, and where they get everything from. But yeah, so each based off of your metabolic rate, that determines your base. And then when we see specific things like a chromium need, a molybdenum need, a manganese need, we're able to add those on, as well as certain B vitamins or take those off. It's just really beautiful how well you are able to customize the blend according to someone's specific HTMA. And then another huge beneficial thing that comes alongside your Vicon is zeolite. So zeolite it's another thing we've had to learn a lot about because it is quite a powerful binder, but
Yeah.
it is quite incredible that this even exists. Of course, I mean, God made it, and it's a natural derivative. But it's when you start introducing such, would you say, I don't want to phrase this wrong, but like medical grade mineral.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, she said pharmaceutical grade or strength, I guess maybe was how she put it. Minerals, yeah.
okay, yeah, it's the real. Just speaking from experience, you do, Kari. It's like the real deal. You really
Yeah.
are getting a high dose. Well, you know it's working because it starts to displace a lot of things that have been sequestered in tissues for so long, such as heavy metals, mycotoxins, a lot of not so great things. And so you really need that binder to come in and clean that all out so it does not recirculate and cause a Herx reaction. And so, yeah, we
A
just
Herx
need,
being a detox reaction. Yeah.
that's right. So yeah, they come together and they work together, and we come alongside you too as you're going through it because everyone responds to it a little differently. So we have to adjust certain dosages, but they really do work so beautifully together. And just
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Easier just that no, I was just sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say it's easier when people are so depleted and so acute
Yeah.
to get them where we need to go with the custom mineral blend. Because one, it is custom when we can, base it to them, but two is the higher doses of the minerals are
Yeah.
very specific, for what they need. And it's in a powder, so it's really the compliance is much better.
Yeah. It's hard, I mean, when you have somebody that has such low levels to do that only with food and, lifestyle changes. Yes, of course, we want you to do those things, but it's just hard to fill in that big of a hole with just those things because your body's still using minerals every day. It's like, it's just hard to kind of fill in that hole while also giving your body what it needs on a daily basis, if that makes sense. So that's where the Vicon can definitely come in handy. And, the length of time, it kind of varies for everybody, but I mean, you usually do it in 3-month increments. So you would take the blend for 3 months and retest your HTMA to see what has changed and then reformulate the blend in order, another 3 months and then so on and so forth, just depending on how long you needed that. I would say on average, depending on your metabolic type, 3 to 6 months at the minimum,
Yeah.
more than likely,
Yeah, and that
Um,
first dose of Icon is titrated over 6 weeks. So we start
Yes.
really slow, and titrate. We actually start you with a binder and then slowly titrate up the Vicon blend, um, to minimize or mitigate, like what Hannah said, the detox or Herx reaction. So it's a little bit longer sometimes for the
Yeah, that's true.
first blend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to titrate for sure. Don't skip that.
Yeah.
We found that out the hard way.
Yeah.
If I could
Definitely.
add too, I think being a mom with littles and then pregnant, my pregnancy hasn't quite looked the same. Like my time to, work on having a like do all the things in the kitchen I would normally love to do hasn't quite looked like that. Like I just haven't had the availability
Mhm.
to do that. So it has relieved for anyone who's like in the preconception or pregnancy or even postpartum, and they have blends for each stage of
That's
that.
a good mention. That's a really
Yeah.
good mention. Yeah. If you're
And for
pregnant,
babies and toddlers and teens and all the things. Yeah,
right.
that's
I
true.
highly recommend if you just want,
Yeah.
you just don't have the capacity to like do as much as, yeah. So
Good point. Really good
And
point.
just pregnancy takes so much out of your body. We were talking about that on the last episode. I mean, truly, like, I don't think we realize. And it's no wonder. I mean, it's already tiring what we do as moms a lot of times in those early days, but your body doesn't have enough to work with. It's tired physically, but also metabolically. So just to give your body what it needs with minerals, it really does make a big difference as far as just like recovery and postpartum and all the changes that your body's going through can really, really help with that.
Yeah. And I would just add, I mean, you're going straight from pregnancy into nursing. So there's not really like a
right.
a gap. So I just can't speak enough to needing that reinforcement.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, we would love if you think, if you're interested in the HTMA or the personalized Vicon mineral blends, reach out to us, please. We do free calls, inquiry calls. We'd love to answer your questions to figure out if this might be a good fit for you. This is a lot of people start here in our practice with the HTMA and the Vicon mix because it's so foundational. But we'd love to just see if it is a good fit for you. So reach out with any questions. And as always, we love hearing you anyway, how we can pray for you. So thanks for joining us today. Hannah, thanks so much for being here. We were so excited to have you. Until next time.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we're praying for you.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/Libsyn. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.
When you need to send the perfect rose bouquet, only one brand can say they've been the floral authority for 50 years. 1-800-Flowers. Why should you trust 1-800-Flowers? They hand-select every stem to ensure top quality. And with nationwide delivery, smiles and satisfaction are 100% guaranteed. And right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses, we'll double it at no extra cost. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.